morning, good afternoon, good night, wherever you are in this world. It is amazing to see you again.
My name is Markiplier.
We have guest star Taz in today to help us explain the Omegaverse. There is a sexual content
Wait,
warning.
I have to help?
Yep, you're helping, definitely.
I wasn't given a script.
Fine. It's our live studio audience is Taz. Thank you so much for watching. I'm so sorry for your health. If you were having a good day, you will no longer be having a good day when this is done. Next slide. Oh, Taz should be able to see it too. We're showing Taz the slide as I am reading it to you guys.
Wow, okay. Wow, I love the color coding.
The gradient, yeah. Okay, so in simplest
I love the shades of blue.
In simplest terms, the Omegaverse, also known as Ace BO, is a popularly used BL/yaoi erotic fanfiction. Oh god. In the standard Omegaverse, you get a second gender, either alpha, beta, or omega, and you can get a test to tell you, like before you're born, or you can just figure it out when you're from ages 14 to 22.
Who made this?
We'll get there. That's actually a slide. In certain variations of the Omegaverse, there are less types or more types. However, it's not really that common, but if it does happen, it'll be added to the A/B/O title. It'll change depending on what types are in there. In the Omegaverse, alphas can impregnate omegas, which means that men can get men pregnant and women can get women pregnant. Note that betas function normally, and only heterosexual relations can cause pregnancy. The Omegaverse is based off the hierarchy of wolves. I'll talk about that more later, and I still don't want to read the last line because it has a funny word in it, and I'm not going to read it. You can read. You can do it. Vocabulary words.
Oh no, why'd you make it green like vocab.com?
That was a theme, of course. Okay, slick is lubricant produced by an omega when aroused. You know what that's for. Hint, it's for the
It's for drizzling my ice cream.
No! It's for sex. Okay. A nest is a place omegas will go to feel comfortable during heat. Alphas can also make nests during rut. It's basically just like a weird pillow fort, but it smells like man and pheromones.
That doesn't seem like very good. Why can't it smell like women?
No, well, it probably could. I don't know. I've never been in one. I'm just following the research, man.
How much did you research for this?
I have a slide at the end about that as well. Mate is
you have sources? You cited your sources? Did you do an annotated bibliography?
I did not do an annotated bibliography. I must apologize. But they're there. A mate is a permanent romantic or sexual relationship. Mating as a verb means to, like, intercourse with.
To intercourse with.
Marking is when an alpha marks their mate to show to other alphas that mate is already claimed. It's basically just a hickey with power.
Yeah, I heard of this.
Knot is when the base of an alpha's penis swells to push semen farther into their mate to ensure pregnancy.
To ensure pregnancy.
Yep.
Yes.
It's time for baby. Anyways, I just said the word heats and rut, but you don't know what those are, so let's compare them. Heat happens to omegas, rut happens to alphas. Heat includes preheat, which is 5 days prior to heat.
Like preheating an oven.
Like preheating an oven, yes. Like preheating
the Omegaverse.
Preheating the Omegaverse. 5 days prior to heat, the symptoms may include excessive sleep, nesting, and extreme hunger. Heat lasts 5 to 7 days, happens frequently, kind of like a period. It happens, like, I think every month or every few months. It can be safely stopped with medication, and in many fan fictions you will see that omegas take suppressants. They're very difficult to get through. Taz ended the call. They're very... Taz is back.
Sorry, your Omegaverse speech was so powerful, it kicked me out of the FaceTime.
Heartbreaking. They're so hard to get through without medication. It only happens to omegas, I said that already. It can cause fevers, cramps, and increased slick production. And post-heat, there'll be a lot of excessive sleeping because you can't really sleep while you're in heat. Rut happens once every 3 months if the alpha does not have a partner. You see here that it says when an alpha does have a partner, it syncs with their partner's heat cycle. It can be stopped with medication, but not safely. There's not a lot of research into that. Like, it's canon to the Omegaverse that they do not research medicine to stop rut. Okay, it's easy to handle. You could just kind of like swish swish, and then it's like whatever. The alpha will act very primal and aggressive during rut, and they often just cut it out of the fix because it kills the vibe. I agree.
Mom, this is how
so
I'm
weird.
living my teenage years.
It's
Explaining the Omegaverse in a PowerPoint presentation with Amrita on a FaceTime call.
Mom, I'm so sorry.
Hey, look, Mom, I made it.
Something that's true for both of them, it gets less intense with orgasm. I always said orgasm, that's so gross. It increases pheromones. It gets more intense when you're with a mate. It causes clouded judgment, and spontaneously can be caused by finding a true mate, and a true mate is just a soulmate. Well, now let's talk about the differences between alphas, betas, and omegas. We'll start with betas, just because betas are my favorite, because they're normal. 45% of the population are betas. Betas can reproduce with alphas, but it hurts a lot. Other than that, they're just normal. That's it. 30% of the population are alphas. Alphas are the most powerful in the Omegaverse. They are aggressive and protective over their mates. Female alphas do not have a uterus, as they do not need to reproduce. And alphas tend to be taller and more muscular than others. Their pheromones, if strong enough, can force omegas into submission. And that is very common to see in a lot of fanfics with crazy people. Do you guys know how many fanfics I read for this thing? I might die. 25%
In
of the...
Amrita's search history, it's Onceler Omegaverse.
Onceler? Why the Onceler?
Because you would do that. You would.
Let's just say I read from many fandoms to get a wide view of understanding. 25% of the population are omegas. Omegas are always the weakest in any version of the Omegaverse. Male omegas have a uterus and they give birth via C-section, but they can also give anal birth, which is basically the same to like a natural birth for a woman, but instead of there, it is there.
So you just poop out the baby.
Basically, yes, but it is not
you
very
poop
common.
Out the baby.
It is not very common. It will usually
You're literally
be
dog
born
water.
by a C-section. When in heat, the excess secrete I'm so sorry, y'all. The secrete of excess amount of pheromones can make it unsafe to walk alone unmarked, as it's very likely for them to get raped, which also happens a lot in fanfiction, which I thought was gross. That was so weird to read. Anyways, omegas must take
I'm sorry you had to go through this.
Must take suppressants to go out and live their life during heat. History and origins. This is why we are so scared
of this PowerPoint slide.
of the supernatural fandom. A fanfiction featuring actors Jared Padalecki and Jensen Ackles, who play the guys on Supernatural, like the main characters,
Of course it's supernatural.
uses the terms alpha and knots. The rules of the Omegaverse are majorly based off of this fic. Even though it is credited for starting the Omegaverse, things like heat cycles were popularized by Star Trek in 1967.
Star Trek.
In 1967.
Star Trek.
From there, the Omegaverse developed into series like Hannibal and Teen Wolf, and has now become what it is today. Thank you so much for reading, watching, or listening. Here are my sources. One of these sources is literally .org, which I think was shocking.
Oh, did you put them in MLA format?
No, that's on my separate annotated
Okay,
version.
this is a terrible
No,